said you're going to clap for him and I get nothing? What is this all about? Houston, Texas, are you having a great Comicpalooza? I asked this the other night when I was doing the Stan Lee panel. By the way, anybody that was here for the Stan Lee panel, we had so much fun. Oh wow, quite a few of you. Awesome. That was an incredible evening, wasn't it? It was great. But I asked a couple of people the other night, I said, are you going to be here tomorrow? Are you going to be here the next day? And everybody was like, yes, yes, yes. So I will ask that right now. How many people are coming back for the fourth and final day tomorrow? Awesome. Well, it's going to be a very exciting day. And of course, something that Comicpalooza is doing this year that's very, very cool because, of course, it's Memorial Day weekend. And don't forget to tell your friends and post this on your social media that tomorrow, military, former, current, get in absolutely free. That is our thank you on behalf of Comicpalooza to those that serve this great nation tomorrow. And you can tell them how much fun that you've had here. All right, speaking of fun, let's continue, you guys. Are you ready? This is an incredible actor. You guys know him. You've seen all his, the classic movies that he's been in. He's been in so much, and we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get him to say that famous phrase that you know, that you love. Play it. Yes, he will say that. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Comicpalooza. Give it up, keep it going right here, Mr. Cary Elwes. I warned them. I told them to behave today. I did. I said, Cary, I said, Houston, Texas, don't embarrass me in front of Cary.
Oh, that ain't gonna happen.
So, I want to ask you right off the top, have you ever been to Houston? Let's start with that question.
Yes, I have. I love this town. Yeah, that's right, yeah. Houston rocks. Houston rocks. I love it here.
Awesome, and we love having you here. All right, so there is a story going around about you amongst some of the cons and things like that. And I've talked. Of course, I'm in media. I'm sure you've seen this on Fox 26. And I've talked to some media friends that have actually interviewed you and spent some time with you before. And you have a reputation. I will tell you right now, Cary. You have a reputation of being one of the nicest guys around. And I think. Because a lot of times with Hollywood...
Who are your sources?
No, but a lot of people, a lot of actors, and you've been in some humongous films. I mean, you're just an awesome guy. And so, you have every right to have a huge ego. And I spoke to some of my fellow film critics around the country yesterday, and I said, I can't believe guess who I'm hosting the panel with. And they said, you're going to love him. So it's a great day to have you here.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So, let's just open it right now. I guess I should ask the crowd here. Has anybody ever heard of a movie? Oh, I don't know. It's called The Princess Bride.
Yes, I was in The Princess Bride. As you wish. So I'm not going to say it. But yes, I feel very blessed to be a part of that film because it's given me the career I have today and the life I have today and all of these wonderful fans and who love the film and because of that I've actually been asked to write a book about the film and if you go on Amazon.com you can pre-order it. It's going to be out in October and everybody contributed to the book, Billy Crystal, Robin Wright, Rob Reiner, everybody. And, it's not finished yet, but it will be in time for Christmas, and we're having a lot of fun writing it, yeah.
Okay, so, but let's take you back a little bit. Let's talk about the audition, when you actually auditioned for the role of Wesley in this film. Do you remember what that was like? Were you nervous? I mean, obviously you were nervous. It was an audition. Yeah. But tell us a little bit about that when you auditioned.
Well, by the way, this is going to be all in the book, so I thoroughly recommend that you buy the book, obviously, because every story you've wanted to know about The Princess Bride is in there. But yes, the audition was like this. I was in Berlin making a film at the time, a little independent actually was a German-Finnish co-production. And I was staying in a hotel in Berlin, and I get a call from my agent saying that Rob Reiner and his producing partner, Andy Scheinman, are traveling to Berlin to see you. And of course I didn't know who Andy Scheinman was, but I knew who Rob Reiner was. I grew up on All in the Family. I knew that show, and I'd obviously seen a little movie of his called Spinal Tap. You guys know Spinal Tap? Which has since become a cult classic, and I was very nervous because she told me on the phone, my agent, that they were interested in meeting me for the role of Wesley for Princess Bride. And I thought, well, I'd read the book when I was 13, so I knew what it was about. And I thought, my God, Marty DeBerge is going to come and interview me, you know. I couldn't believe it, you know. And they came to my hotel, and I kept saying to myself, my God, I hope they don't make me read, you know, because I'm terrible at reading at auditions. I just, you know, most of the work I get is from offers, because reading's just, I suck at them, you know. And they come in, Andy and Rob, and they were very sweet, and we sit down and we, you know, chat a little bit about movies and All in the Family, and suddenly Rob pulls out a copy of the script, and my heart sank. I'm like, oh no, I was going so well. Why did you have to do that? Why? And he pulls out the script and he goes, you don't mind if we just read a couple of lines here and there? I just want to hear how it sounds, you know? And I thought, that's it. There's no way. I'm not going to get the part. There's not a chance. When he hears me read it, he's just going to go, well, this guy sucks. And so he pulled out, I think he pulled out the monologue that Wesley has about the Dread Pirate, becoming the Dread Pirate Roberts, right? And I start to read it, and I'm stumbling and fumbling and the whole thing, and I'm thinking, this is just awful. It's just awful. And I'm trying to be as, you know, confident as I can. I'm like, you know, how about that? And he stops me halfway through. He goes, okay, that's enough. And I thought, well, that's it. It's done. You know. And he goes, well, you know, you sound pretty good. You know, I'll have to run it all by the studio and see if they like the idea of hiring you for this film. But if they do, you know, obviously we can meet some more and discuss it. And thinking, well, you know, I'll never see this guy again, right? And they were very gracious and very sweet. And then we parted ways. And about a week later, I got a call from my agent saying I got the part. So I mean, how blessed am I? You know, I mean, I couldn't believe my luck, really.
I think it's our luck, don't you? Don't you agree with me? It's just our luck. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about Princess Bride, you know, in just a couple of minutes, and I know that we're going to get more of the fan questions. And again, you guys, I encourage you to pre-order this book on Amazon. It's coming out October 7th is the release. The book that he wrote, the behind-the-scenes stuff. But you know. Cary, you worked with some of the biggest names in show business. I mean, and that's really a true testament to your acting. I mean, when you honestly, I mean, these people decided to cast you in these movies, and it's not everybody. And it's a who's of directors. Listen to this. He's worked with people like Francis Ford Coppola. You guys have heard of him. Yeah. Steven Spielberg, I mean, some incredible, you know, Rob Reiner, of course, but I want to break down the Francis Ford Coppola, of course, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Let's talk a little bit about that film and working with Francis.
Well, Francis, thankfully, did not ask me to read. I thought that was pretty cool. I met with him in his office, and of course, you know, I grew up on his movies, and I'd seen all of them, and so I was very, very nervous. But I went in and I met him, and he couldn't have been nicer. I mean, he just offered me the part in the room, you know, and we shot that on the Sony lot in Los Angeles. And Francis wanted to try and use no CGI at all. He wanted to make the whole film using nothing but tricks, you know, in front of the camera rather than in post-production. So yeah, right? That's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty brave. And then he decided he wanted to take all of the actors up to Napa and rehearse the film on the sound studios that he has up in his house at Napa. So we all got to go to, like, you know, Francis Ford Coppola boot camp for a couple of weeks, you know, which was very much an interesting experience, because it was like being on a reality show, because he had all these camera crews around filming us all day long. So the minute we woke up in the morning, you woke up with a camera in your face, you know? So he documented the entire experience. So somewhere in his archives, there's all of us waking up in the morning and going to class and doing acting games and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Anywhere in his house, did he have any a Godfather poster? I'm just asking that
No,
because...
you know what? He doesn't do that. He's very modest
Really?
about it. Yeah, it's nothing, no flashy stuff. He has an incredible library there. He has like a huge barn that he's converted into a library. And so, you know, he encouraged us to go and do research there. So he said, you know, if you want to go and watch movies, there's obviously his film library is extraordinary, right? And he sort of gave us all a list of books to look at and read and movies to watch, so we get the flavor of the kind of film that he wanted to make. And so it was an amazing experience to just to be there and learn from him. Yeah.
Let's talk about Steven Spielberg, of course, the film Tintin, which, by the way, that was one of my favorite movies that came out. Did you guys like Tintin? And actually, Cary, I got to tell you right now, my mom is actually sitting in the front row right there. She's got the Maleficent horns. Mom bought me the Tintin books because I love the movie so much that you were part of.
The Tintin books, okay, this is an interesting story. I grew up in England, obviously, and Tintin was very much a part of the English culture. You know, Hergé is a Belgian artist, if you don't know already. And if you haven't bought the books for your kids, I thoroughly recommend them. They're amazing. Hergé really kind of wrote cartoons that look like storyboards, which I think is why Spielberg got interested in getting involved, because the books are like little storyboards for movies, you know. And so as a kid, being fascinated about movies myself, I would read these books and you could visualize almost an animated movie in your head by reading them. So I'm sure you have comic books that you guys all love that you feel the same way about, right? Well, that's how I felt about Tintin. And so I collected every single one of these books. I think there's like 30 books or something like that. They're amazing. Anyway, so here's this audition. I'm in a supermarket in Los Angeles shopping with my wife and kid, and we're pushing a cart and we're, you know, buying groceries and what have you. And my wife suddenly like freezes, and I think, what's wrong? What happened? She goes, honey, Steven Spielberg in aisle 9. And I go, come on, he is not. She goes, yes, he is. He's back there, aisle 9. Check it out. I go, Steven Spielberg doesn't shop for himself. There's got people who do that for him, for sure, right? She goes, honey, I'm telling you right now. So I pull the cart back and I do that, and sure enough, it's Steven Spielberg. You know, he's like buying Captain Crunch or something, you know? I'm going, no way. I couldn't believe it. She goes, you have to say hi, right? I go, well, of course, you know. So, you know, what am I going to do? But blow off Steven Spielberg? No. All right. So I pull the cart around with my daughter, and we go down the aisle, and I go, Mr. Spielberg, and he goes, hey, Cary, how are you? And first of all, I couldn't believe he knew my name, you know. And I knew he was making Tintin at the time, which was my favorite set of books growing up. So after a little bit of chit-chat and how are you, what are you doing? And I said, not a whole lot, but I hear you're making Tintin, is that true? And he goes, yes, I am. And I go, well, sir, I'm sorry to press you in aisle 9 between your Captain Crunch and your Count Chocula, but I just happen to be the biggest Tintin fan. I mean, is there any role left? I don't care if it's half an hour on film or 10 seconds, I'll come do it. He goes, He said, you know, I wish you'd come a couple of weeks earlier because now we've cast all the roles, but there may be one role left. I don't know if you want it. It's a couple of days' work. And I go, please, I'm happy to do it. He goes, well, can you do a French accent? I went, but of course. And that's how I got the job in Tintin with him.
Oh, man! So, this is what's happened now, Cary. Next time I see it, which I watch it over and over again, I'm going to think of Captain Crunch now when I see Tintin. We do that. Okay, Mel Brooks.
Yes.
And of course, we all know the Giants movie. Come on, guys! You know, Mel Brooks, he's just a legend.
A legend.
And so, can you share a little bit about, you know, working with him and how that got started? And...
Mel, again, I was very blessed. Like I said, I get most of my roles from straight offers rather than auditioning, because as I've stated earlier, I'm not that great at auditioning. But I guess he had seen The Princess Bride, and he thought I'd be right, given that I had a sort of Errol Flynn-y kind of a vibe going at that time, and he said you'd be perfect for it. And then, so I went in and met with him, and we actually cast Dave Chappelle together. We saw a lot of actors, and when Dave came in, he was just so amazing. And we knew right then and there, this guy is a star. And we had so much fun making it, because Mel is just the most positive guy. His favorite word is, yes! Only occasionally we go, I don't know. But mostly it was just, yes! Like that, all day long. So he's all about positive affirmation, and we just had a blast making it. It was just hilarious all day long.
It seemed like you had, I mean, that's an incredible cast, and just, you could just, you know, working with that, it had to have been just fun every day.
Every day.
Shooting that thing.
No, I mean, and I don't think he's happier than when he's on the set making a movie, so, and he's just a very, very sweet man. And obviously a comic giant. I mean, I grew up with his movies, probably like half of you did, you know. Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, right? Yeah. I couldn't believe that he wanted me to be a part of his legacy, so I was just thrilled, absolutely thrilled.
All right, I want to go back to Princess Bride.
Okay.
Can we do that? Can we do that, Comicpalooza? You know, did you ever imagine when you guys were shooting that film that all these years later that it would be just as big as, I mean, everybody, raise your hand if you own a copy of this film. I mean, the entire room.
Wow. Okay, give yourselves a round.
Did you have any idea, you know, when we were shooting this film that, like, you know, I guess you don't know, you know.
You
like,
never know. You never know when you're making a movie. Look, no one sets out to make a bad movie, and God knows I've made a couple, you know. But thankfully I've been in some great ones too, so, you know, you just never know. You never know. We had no idea it was going to turn out to be this, you know. I mean, we were just having fun making it, and you know, you hope for the best when you make a movie, and once you finish it, you're on to the next job, and oftentimes it's almost like half a year or a year later that you come to, the movie comes out, or you do publicity for it, and so by then you think, okay, well, hopefully this film comes together, and it has to be all the right ingredients, you know. I mean, you're literally trying to capture lightning in a bottle. You want to get all the right people together, the right cast, the right director, the right editor, the right set designer, the right costumes, the right everything, the right music, everything. And you just never know. I mean, you just never know. So we couldn't believe it that when it came out, you know, it just actually didn't do that well, surprisingly, because nobody knew. That's funny. That's funny. It was. We couldn't. We were like inconceivable too. So that's funny. But the studio had no idea how to market the film, and I think that's why, you know, we had no trailer. If you can believe that. In fact, I think we had one trailer, and it was so bad they pulled it from the theater. We had no TV ads, and the studio was stumped. They had no idea how to sell it. Was it a comedy? Was it an adventure movie? Was it a fairy tale? Was it a kids movie? Was it an adults movie? They had no idea. They'd never come across a film with that many genres in it that they didn't know which one to focus on. So they ended up just focusing on the grandfather and the grandson aspect of it, with the poster that they showed us, you know, with Peter Falk and Fred Sam, which is a nice part of the story, obviously, very sweet. But when it came out, nobody really knew about it, so it came and went. It only made like, I think, 30, the film cost 15, and back then it made like 30.8 million or something like that, which is about 60 million today. But it was like half, it made a little bit over half the budget, which for the studio is like, that's nothing. They were like, whatever. And they moved on, right? And the film really found its legs in some new medium called VHS, which for you kids today is when we used to watch movies on video, right? And what happened was people started renting it, and then they would recommend it to their friends and family, and then they would buy copies and give it, you know, I can't tell you how many, it's so sweet, people coming up with their old VHS copies for me to sign. I mean, they're all worn and everything. Like, you don't understand, Mr. Elwes, this has been in our family for 4 generations.